All right, everybody. We're here with the Women of Wrestling Google Plus Hangout. I've got some lovely ladies I want to introduce you to. We have 4 wrestlers and a fan on here with us. I'll let them introduce themselves, actually. We'll go left to right from the bottom of your screen. Alli, why don't you start? Introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, I'm Alli Ragan. I'm from King College, actually King University. We just changed it. I'm from Illinois, and King is in Tennessee, so I live there now. But yeah, I'm going to be a senior at King, so I'm getting old.
Well, U.S. Open champ, too. Don't sell yourself short.
Yeah, I guess so. I feel like everyone here is a U.S. Open champ or something like that, but yeah.
World University Silver Medalist.
Hey!
Yeah. All right, Amanda?
Yeah, hi, my name is Dr. Amanda Stanek, and I am a physical education, sport, and wellness consultant. I am a Canadian citizen, but I am living in St. Louis now. And I never actually wrestled. I was a college soccer player, but I'm a huge advocate for women in sport and honored to be a part of the chat with all you amazing athletes today.
Awesome. Clarissa?
Hi, I'm Clarissa Chun from Hawaii. Moved to Missouri, hour and a half away from Amanda. So, and I was on the 2008, 2012 Olympic team. Took bronze in 2012. Yeah.
Awesome. Helen? Helen, can you hear us? All right, we'll pass up Helen and go to Jesse real quick.
Hi, I'm Jessie MacDonald. I'm from Canada, and I live in St. Catharines, where I train at Brock University. And
World champ.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, we'll try to get Helen back on with us real quick, but for starters, I just wanted to ask you ladies a broad question about, we have the whole Olympic wrestling situation going on right now. We're fighting for our life, and women's wrestling in the Olympics is still really new. So I wanted to get all of your input on the importance of the development of women's wrestling in the Olympics, or women's wrestling in general, and then as it pertains to Olympic wrestling as well, and the special place that it holds in your life. So we can just start and go down the line with Alli if you want.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
Can you hear me? Okay, you guys are kind of blurry, staticky, but basically to the question, I feel like women's wrestling is such a huge and growing sport that there's no way that they can drop it so fast because it just got in the Olympics, and so many girls are just joining the sport, and they look up to people like Clarissa Chun and Jessie MacDonald and Helen, so I feel like it's just a huge thing that's growing, and from here, so many things can happen. It's not just, oh, it's just a sport that's being dropped. It paves the lives for so many young girls that I feel like it can be such a bigger thing than it is now, so.
Well, Clarissa, can you talk about, you actually wrestled in the Olympics last year, got a bronze medal. You can speak really well to that question. You've been in 2 Olympics.
Right. Just having the opportunity for any young female to be able to participate in wrestling, and be able to have that goal and dream to take it to that next level, to go to the Olympics. 'Cause Olympics, I feel, is an amazing experience. It's the pinnacle of our sport. We don't get a chance to have pro leagues, for wrestling. But I'm from Hawaii, so wrestling's huge for girls in Hawaii. So there's probably over 1,000 girls that come out to wrestle at the high school level, and I feel like it's continuing to grow, even in the age group level. So.
Yeah, Helen, can you? Well, first off, introduce yourself for us, Helen, and then talk a little bit about that.
Okay, my name is Helen Maroulis. I go to school at Simon Fraser University in Vancouver, Canada, but I train at the Olympic Training Center in the summers. I am on the 2013 World Team, so I'll be going to Budapest this summer, and that's it.
Well, can you talk about what the importance of wrestling holds in your life, for you in particular?
Wrestling, wrestling's definitely helped shape the person that I am. When I first started doing sports, I did dance and ballet, and I actually got asked to quit because I was so shy. So my parents never thought that I would get into a sport like wrestling, and wrestle in front of a bunch of people and compete and stuff like that. So, but it teaches you a lot about mental toughness and just being strong. So it's definitely very important in my life.
Jess, can you speak to that a little bit as well?
Just, I guess, a lot of what the other girls said, and just wrestling is so much of my life, and I've dedicated so much of my life to the sport. And I think of all the young people who are training right now for 2020 and beyond, and I can't imagine, for some of them getting to that point saying, like after 2016 passes and it should be their time, and not allowing them that opportunity would just be devastating.
Can you talk a little bit about how you first got into wrestling? What motivated you to get into that and experience that?
Well, it was kind of a little bit of a joke. I was in grade 11, and my best friend in high school wanted to join the team, and I kind of followed along, and we put on some crazy outfits and started practicing in my family room to get ready for the first practice. And then when it came time for the first tournament, I was basically in tears that I wanted to be the team manager and I didn't want to compete, and my coach said, just do one tournament and you can make a decision. And so I wrestled the first tournament, and by luck I won, and I'm pretty sure that's the only reason why I stuck with the sport.
Awesome. Yeah, well, why don't we send it over to Amanda? I know she had a question for you guys, so we'll let her ask that.
Yeah, thanks, Richard. I just was wondering, I'm sure there are a lot of coaches watching today, and it would be my assumption that primarily the coaches of women wrestling right now are primarily men. I know I was lucky enough to meet the Olympic women's team coach when I lived in Colorado Springs a couple of years ago. I just happened to meet him downtown and had a fun chat with him. So I'm wondering what advice you all would give to male coaches at the high school, middle school, and club levels to make sure that they're making a room that is welcoming and safe for women. I don't mean physically safe. I just mean an environment where if a girl wanted to come out, it's a growing sport for women, wrestling, but what tips would you give coaches, male coaches, to make sure that they feel that they welcome female wrestlers the way that they deserve to be welcomed to their practices?
Anyone? Or
yeah, I'd love to hear from any or all of you. And yeah.
For me, I grew up doing judo, so I would train with guys all the time. And when I went to high school, it was the same thing. I trained with guys all the time. And when I went to college, it was the first time I was on an actual all-female team. But I think, an advice I would give to a coach, like coaching females, is, don't treat us differently. Like, we don't need that special treatment. We're there to like wrestle and compete. Whether it's against guys or girls, it's just it's all the same. Wrestling's wrestling. We might be a little bit more sensitive at sometimes, but but I feel like don't put a label on us that just because we're girls they have to take it like that much easier on us.
Alli, did you have something to add?
Oh, I was just going to say basically the same thing. I grew up, my dad was my coach since I was really young, and then he was my high school coach too, so I think that had a big impact on my life and as far as keeping me in the sport. And I think other coaches that saw that he was so welcome to letting his daughter wrestle that they were like, oh, well, I need to get these girls in here, and I can provide them with the wrestling room to be able to give them a chance to do the same thing and accomplish these goals that she is. So I feel like just opening your room up and just being kind, and I feel like not scaring the girls away. Like I feel like a lot of the men coaches are just trying to scare, like they'll just try and intimidate the girls so they don't come back because they feel like it's a burden. But I feel like a lot of the girls can compete with the boys, and I feel like that's the best way that a lot of girls get better too. So.
Good deal.
Yeah.
I just wanted to comment.
Sorry, go ahead. Oh, I was just going to say, kind of going off what Alli said, I definitely agree because I've had some experiences where I've had to go into a practice room and my parents would have to talk to the coaches and they would, talk through like whether I could come join, and the coaches would try and find all these reasons why I shouldn't be allowed, and I really had to have my parents support me. But then, the coaches, they finally come around once they see that you work hard and you're there for the same reasons as the guys. I mean, they're going to come around, and then as a result of that, other coaches will see too, like, here's a girl that's working hard, that's, essentially helping the guys get better, and they're helping her get better. So it's just the same as any other wrestling practice with two guys, drilling.
And I just wanted to, yeah, just that when when I started in high school, and then even like to this day, like our practices are combined. So we train with the men and women at Brock at a university program, and when I was in high school, it was the same thing. Our men and women trained together. So really, the only time I train only with women is when I go to international training camps. Like guys are my training partners every day. So I think the biggest thing is like they said, is having a coach that allows men and women. I mean, if you have a coach that has a closed mind, including women, well then I guess you really don't have a shot. And if it's a question also about trying to gather women, getting guests, people to come in, like some past wrestlers and stuff like that, or even current wrestlers, giving kids a role model, that will get a lot of kids through the door. Someone to look up to and kind of aspire to be.
Awesome. Well, Helen, I wanted to talk a little bit about how the Greece trip that you went on last week. So can you talk about how awesome it was to get to compete in ancient Greece? And you have that Greek heritage as well, so it's extra special for you. So can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. So I had the extreme privilege of being able to go to Olympia, Greece, and we brought a men's Greco team, a women's team, and I think there were like 15 countries total there. And we wrestled on Friday, and then on Saturday, all the teams got to tour the ancient Olympic grounds, and we had a tour guide, and they explained, just why the Greeks started the Olympics, what were the purposes, what were the rituals there, and stuff like that. And it was just so amazing to just see how, sport and the attitude and the respect and the participation, how it hasn't changed since the ancient Olympic Games. I mean, rules, some sports are different, but the general, beliefs and the reason for establishing the Olympics are all the same. So it was really, really incredible. And then to top it off, the finalists got to wrestle on the ancient Olympic grounds, which, I know men have obviously, men's wrestling has always been there, but it was pretty amazing for females to wrestle there because that's never happened before. So it felt like we were a part of history. It was incredible.
Sounds awesome. Clarissa, can you talk a little bit about what you would say to a young girl who's about to start her career in wrestling? You've been through it all the way up through the Olympics. Can you talk about that and what advice you would give them?
Just have fun, Like, the main thing is, like, for me, is why I continue to wrestle is that I enjoy it, If you're having fun and, depending on how far that girl wants to take it, if they want to take it to the top level, then, it is going to take a lot of work. It takes a lot of hard work, dedication, and just finding ways to give themselves the best opportunity, like getting to know themselves, as far as like on and off the mat. And I think like I tell them just, find that passion. If it's not wrestling, then just find that passion that they have.
Good deal. Jess, can you talk a little bit about the Canadian perspective on the Olympic wrestling situation, what you guys have been pushing, going through? We had a great event in Niagara Falls, the Battle at the Falls. Can you just talk about what's going on up there from your end?
Well, we have Olympic champions Carol Wynn and Danielle Golly. They're supporting our cause, and they've been going to the meetings to try to present to the IOC why to keep wrestling in the Olympics. And yeah, we had our event, Battle of the Falls, where we were showcasing the U.S. national team, Ukrainian national team, and Canadian national team, and we had a friendly duel where we tried just to show the public what wrestling's all about, and it was also a great opportunity for people to see women in sport, because oftentimes if you go to a sporting event, it's going to be a men's event, right? And I don't know, I think it was just a great time to show people, and for me it was actually kind of extra special because it's 15 minutes from my home, so I had a lot of, you know, friends and family, and I'm a teacher, so I had a whole bunch of my students there watching, so, you know, to actually show them what I do every day, and when I say, hey, I'm leaving for a trip, you know, then now they understand, you know, what dream I'm chasing. So, yeah, I mean, we're trying events like that and trying our hardest to keep it in the Olympics.
Awesome. Good deal. I actually just got a Facebook question related to our conversation about females in practice, and it was, how can, as a coach, encourage the female athletes to be more aggressive in practice and not worry about upsetting their practice partners or you know, things like that?
For me, I would say, if you have any chance, any opportunity to step on the mat to, you know, practice with intention. You know, it's not, you know, it can be fun and playful, but, you know, whenever you're practicing, to get your, you know, athlete to be more aggressive, I guess, in a sense, is to remind them, you know, to wrestle with intention, with every part of your body, and not to hurt. It's not about hurting your training partner or upsetting them, you know. It's go on the mat, practice, train, and then when you get off the mat, you know, and you can be friends, shake hands, and hang out, and then you can do all your talking, you know. I remember when we first went to the training center, like when I first went to the training center back in 2002, when they had the women's program, the first women's program, Terry would get a little bit frustrated because I guess it was like, you know, his first time coaching females as well. And he'd get a little frustrated because, you know, as we're drilling, you know, us girls, we like to chat and talk, you know, like, I don't know how you're doing. I don't know why that seems like the appropriate time to do when you're drilling, but it happens. And, you know, he had to tell us, you know, hey, cut it out, you know, let's get work done on the mat. We only have 2 hours, you know, hour and a half or whatever, however long the practice is. And then he's like, you can talk all you want when practice is over. So just, you know, keeping, I guess, your athletes in check as far as, like, when they come to practice and, you know, reminding them, you know, like, in order to grow, you know, it's not about playing, you know, on the... Yeah.
Was this coach asking, like, from the standpoint that the girl doesn't want to upset the guy that she's drilling with?
Yeah, I think he's asking how he can encourage the women's wrestlers, you know, as opposed to a guy wrestler. If there's anything different from that perspective that he should do.
No, I don't. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to kind of jump in here from a research perspective. I think that there are, you know, we like to generalize females and males in participation in sport. The reality is we will find a lot of female wrestlers with very different characteristic traits and a lot of male wrestlers with very different characteristic traits. And it always comes back to knowing your athletes or knowing your students and knowing what motivates him or her, and then being able to have that conversation. I don't mean to jump in on you, Helen. I'd much rather listen to you than share, but just from a research perspective, I think it's really important that coaches look at the athletes as athletes and wrestlers first, and sure, there are certain things that females and males we might assume, but oftentimes those are stereotypes rather than reality. And once you know your athletes and have that rapport established, a lot of those questions just become answered organically.
Yeah, definitely, and that's really great from a coach's perspective. But just to, if there's any young women listening as well, I think you also have to take it in from an athlete's perspective. You just have to know that when you go into the practice room, you can't, you're gonna have different training partners, and everyone's, got a different personality. So you really kind of have to figure out what you need to do. Because I remember being young, and I would go into a practice room and everybody would ignore me, the coach, the boys, everyone. And so, I would stand by a group and I'd say, hey, can I work in? Hey, can I work in? And they just keep drilling. They keep, they ignore me. And I went to this coach who's like a grandfather to me now, but I went up to him and I said, hey, no one will let me work with them. Can you put me in a group? And he said, at some point you have to figure out how to do things yourself, and walked away. And it was a huge turning point for me, because I just remember thinking, this is my career and I love wrestling, and if I really want to do it, I have to find a way to get it done. So, I just went up and I told these guys, I'm working in with you, that's it. Like, pulled them apart and started drilling. So, you're going to get different reactions from different people, and you have to decide if you love wrestling. Like, there's always a way to get what you want, and, just don't be afraid or don't worry about hurting anyone's feelings. Like, the guys will come around, the coaches will come around, like, just keep that in perspective.
Awesome. I want to kick it over to Alli for a little bit. She just got back from the World University Games, silver medal, also U.S. Open champ this year. Can you talk about that international experience for you? And also, you can talk about the upcoming, World Team Trials, the wrestle-offs that are coming up this week, actually, in Colorado Springs.
Okay, well, University World Games, I think that's what they were called, World University Games or something like that. But it was an awesome experience. Supposedly, who knows if any of us are going to have the chance to make it to the Olympic Games, but it was supposedly like a small Olympics, because it was just a great experience, definitely one of the better trips that I've been on. And everything was just given to us. Like, it was like a village that we lived in, so kind of like the Olympics, I guess, but I wouldn't really know. But but from that, there was everyone was staying at the same place, and then it was really high tech and like security, and I was like, we don't need to be watched over like this, but it was definitely something good. And it was a great experience. Our U.S. team did good, but I think that we could have done a little bit better, but we all definitely competed at our best potential. So I think that that was definitely a good trip. And then as far as the World Team Trials coming up, I think I'm kind of nervous and excited, but I would like to make my first World Team. I think that's my goal for the year. But as far as that, it's coming up in Colorado Springs, August 3rd, I believe. So that's definitely the next on my list. So yeah.
Good deal. Well, guys, I want to thank you all for joining us. If you guys have any other closing thoughts, about the Olympic wrestling situation, women's wrestling in general, we'd love to hear them now before we end this thing here. No one?
Save wrestling.
Yeah.
Save wrestling.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys for joining us, and we will have another one of these next week. Next Thursday is what we'll shoot for, and we will announce that here coming up later this week, who we have planned for you. And as always, visit keepolympicwrestling.com. We have a lot of stuff you can do there. Stay active, sign the petitions, donate if you can. Visit our Facebook page, our Twitter, and thank you guys for joining. Thank you, ladies. It was fun.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, guys.